Hello. Please join me in Gasho, or with palms together. The Buddha gained nothing personally by serving others, but he did it out of his deep compassion and his determination to end suffering of all beings. Therefore, we can say that if we want to follow in the footsteps of the Buddha, then we must selflessly serve all those who share this planet with us out of love and compassion. In this service, we leave out no one. The long, the short, and the middling, the seen and the unseen, the strong and the weak. There is none whom we cannot serve. Namo Maribeth, Namandab, 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 Namandab. Well, for many of us, Memorial Day signifies the start of the summer season and provides a much-needed long weekend filled with activities like traveling, sporting events, concerts, hiking and camping, parties, and barbecues. But that wasn't the original or true purpose of the day, and most of us seem to have either forgotten or choose to ignore this. Celebrated on the last Monday in May, Memorial Day commemorates those who have lost their lives serving their country, originally in war, but now including anyone who dies while on active military duty. In contrast, Veterans Day, which falls on November 11th, celebrates all people who have served in the military, whether deceased or living. This brings me to a point that many are in the habit of wishing veterans, like myself, a happy Memorial Day. This sentiment is problematic on many levels, but rather than covering all of them right now, please just reserve such greetings to veterans for November 11th when it's more appropriate. But I'm diverging, so back to Memorial Day. Most historians agree that the Day of Remembrance of our war dead has been in existence since the end of the Civil War, when it was known as Decoration Day. In the years that followed the end of the war in 1865, women, especially in the South, began tending to the graves of fallen soldiers, often regardless of which side they fought for. Later, the Day of Remembrance was marked by solemn military parades and ceremonies, and the practice of placing flowers on the graves of fallen service members or decorating grave sites continued in the North and South alike, hence the name Decoration Day. After a couple of years of local celebrations, the holiday was first celebrated nationwide in May 1868, when the former Civil War General John A. Logan led a commemoration at Arlington National Cemetery. General Logan issued a proclamation calling for a Decoration Day to be observed throughout the country every year on May 30th. The month of May was likely chosen due to an abundance of spring flowers during that time. After World War I, in which America lost more than 100,000 soldiers, Decoration Day was expanded to honor all of those who died while fighting, not just those from the Civil War. And while the name of the holiday also changed as it evolved throughout the years, with Memorial Day becoming more popular in the 20th century, Congress made Memorial Day an official national holiday in 1971. But instead of keeping it on May 30th, the day was tied to the last Monday in May to create a 3-day weekend. The U.S. Civil War was devastating for families on both sides of the conflict, and war deaths in the conflict touched communities throughout the states. Nearly 500,000 men died, which was about 2% of the young nation's population at the time. 80 years later, in World War II, nearly 417,000 American service members died in combat, which was about 0.3% or 0.3% of the U.S. population of that era. Compare that to the over 7,000 U.S. service member deaths in the post-9/11 war zones of Afghanistan, Iraq, and Pakistan, and elsewhere. That comes to about 0.002% or 0.02% of our current population. Also for comparison, the Union and Confederacy combined lost more than 7,000 people during the Civil War's Battle of Gettysburg alone. Over time, as a society, We've become distanced from the connection to service members' deaths in our communities and in our population as a whole. It's no wonder that Memorial Day, a time to recall those who lost their lives in the military service to our nation, has lost its meaning for so many of us. Today, Memorial Day is marked by an abundance of mattress and furniture sales, discounts from online retailers, and special price markdowns on appliances and electronics. For some of us, the holiday has drifted too far toward frivolous fun and should be restored to a more respectful observance. One reason that many people don't think about honoring the men and women who have died while serving in the United States Armed Forces on Memorial Day is that unlike during the origins of the holiday, most Americans don't have a personal connection to deceased service members. Even the Buddhist Temple of San Diego uses the holiday to honor all who are deceased, rather than to specifically honor the men and women who have died while serving in the U.S. Armed Forces. In actuality, on this last Monday in May, we should honor deceased military service members' lives and honor their service to our country, and service to each of us. The notion of service to country and to others got me thinking. You've probably heard the term selfless service. Maybe you're familiar with the Buddhist term dana, which includes the ideas of both giving and generosity. There's actually another Sanskrit word, seva, which means a service that is performed without any expectation of result or reward for the person performing it. Selfless service is pure altruism, doing something to benefit another being without expecting anything in return. So I started wondering, do I engage in selfless service or do I engage in selfish service? Are my actions based on what's in it for me, or are they really aimed at simply giving of myself to another with no attachments, no expectations whatsoever? Can we really achieve selfless service, or does it take the determination of a bodhisattva to be altruistic? I'd like to share with you a story from the Jataka Tales. The Jataka Tales encompass some 550 anecdotes and fables, and the term Jataka translates as birth story in the Pali language. These are tales of the previous lives of Shakyamuni, or the historical Buddha, in which he was developing the qualities of heart and mind that led to his final human incarnation and full awakening as a Buddha. This particular story talks about selfless service. Once there was a prince named Sattva. One day, he and his two older brothers went to the forest to run and play. It was there that the three brothers saw a famished tiger who was so hungry that she was apparently tempted to devour her own 7 cubs to satisfy her state of starvation. When they saw this frightening, hungry tiger, the two older brothers ran away to save themselves from becoming the meal. But instead of running away with them, Prince Sattva climbed up a cliff and threw himself down to the mother tiger in order to save the lives of the little tiger cubs. Prince Sattva did this charitable act spontaneously, but in his mind he was thinking, "This body of mine is ever-changing and impermanent. I have lived in this body with no thought of throwing it away, but now I make it an offering to the mama tiger in order to save the baby tigers." Such an act of self-sacrifice for the good of others was truly that of an enlightened being. This story may seem a bit shocking or unrealistic. After all, it is an ancient story, so it may sound somewhat absurd or far-fetched to our modern sensibilities. Who would actually sacrifice themselves to benefit others, throwing their body off a cliff to feed a starving tiger and save the little tigers from being devoured? That's only a fable. An act of selflessness like that wouldn't happen in real life, would it? Well, next I'd like to share with you a story from more recent times. This too is a story of selfless service to others, not one from a collection of ancient fables, but one from modern military records. This is a story of sacrifice that's not unlike that of Prince Sattva, but it's not merely a tale made up to convey a message. Jason Lee Dunham was a corporal in the United States Marine Corps who was a member of 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines during the Iraq War. While on patrol, his unit was attacked and he deliberately covered an enemy grenade to save nearby Marines. When it exploded, Dunham was seriously injured and died 8 days later. Corporal Dunham was awarded the Medal of Honor for his service that day in Iraq, our nation's highest decoration for valor. His citation reads, "The President of the United States, in the name of the Congress, takes pride in presenting the Medal of Honor posthumously to Corporal Jason L. Dunham, United States Marine Corps, for service as set forth in this following citation. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty, while serving as rifle squad leader, 4th Platoon, Company Kilo, 3rd Battalion, 7th Marines, Regimental Combat Team 7, 1st Marine Division, on 14 April 2004. Corporal Dunham's squad was conducting a reconnaissance mission in the town of Karabila in Iraq when they heard rocket-propelled grenade and small arms fire erupt approximately 2 kilometers to the west. Corporal Dunham led his combined anti-armor team toward the engagement to provide fire support to their battalion commander's convoy, which had been ambushed as it was traveling to Camp Haseba. As Corporal Dunham and his Marines advanced, they quickly began to receive enemy fire. Corporal Dunham ordered his squad to dismount their vehicles and led one of his fire teams on foot several blocks south of the ambushed convoy. Discovering 7 Iraqi vehicles in a column attempting to depart, Corporal Dunham and his team stopped the vehicles to search them for weapons. As they approached the vehicles, an insurgent leapt out and attacked Corporal Dunham. Corporal Dunham wrestled the insurgent to the ground, and in the ensuing struggle, saw the insurgent release a grenade. Corporal Dunham immediately alerted his fellow Marines to the threat. And aware of the imminent danger, and without any hesitation, Corporal Dunham covered the grenade with his helmet and body, bearing the brunt of the explosion and shielding his Marines from the blast. In an ultimate and selfless act of bravery, in which he was mortally wounded, he saved the lives of at least 2 fellow Marines. By his undaunted courage, intrepid fighting spirit, and unwavering devotion to duty, Corporal Dunham gallantly gave his life for his country, thereby reflecting credit upon himself and upholding the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service. I know that the citation begins with a lot of military jargon, but the story told in the text of the citation is certainly one of self-sacrifice for the benefit of others. The Medal of Honor is awarded not only to recognize the actions of the recipient, but also so that their actions can be honored and serve as an example to the rest of us, whether we're military members, veterans, or civilians. Corporal Dunham's actions of jumping on a grenade on the day he earned the Medal of Honor were ones of an individual who actually gave his life in an act of selfless service to others. We don't have to throw our bodies to starving tigers to serve others. We don't have to throw ourselves on a grenade that lands in our path. But we can and should take time to recognize the fact that our own lives are sustained by the sacrifices of others. We can and should acknowledge that other sentient beings sacrifice their lives to sustain our lives. And there are choices we can make, actions we can take. to put others before ourselves. We can consider if we are willing to make sacrifices of our time, our possessions, our money, our efforts, to return or pay forward the generosity that others give to us. This Memorial Day, perhaps we can take a break from our buying and barbecuing to recall those military members who can no longer join us in this start of summer fun. Perhaps we can pause just a minute or two to return to the true meaning of Memorial Day, paying honor to those in the U.S. Armed Forces who have gone before us, sacrificing of themselves for the sake of others. This Memorial Day, let's consider the many examples of selfless service and how we can perhaps, even in a small way, try to repay or pay forward some of the benefits we received through the sacrifices of others. Please join me once again in Gasho. One way of performing dana is by offering one's services to society. Usually when we think of serving others, it is by donating sums of money for charitable purposes. But one need not spend money to serve. One of the best ways of serving is to give freely of one's time and energy. There are so many ways in which we can help. By volunteering to bring comfort and cheer to those who are less fortunate than ourselves. Namo Amida Butts, Namandab, 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 Namandab.